character when they're acting, do you find that it changes? So the 4 to 6 months that you were writing about Pt3, did you find that it changed your character a fraction?
Myself?
Yeah.
Not so much. No. Because for me, it's I see it almost like a movie in my head, and then the characters are very strong themselves. So it's not like they're part of me or I'm putting myself into them. It's more like I'm seeing what they're showing me, and then I'm putting it down on paper. And that tends to be pretty much constant. I could be, I don't know, driving around and I'll have a scene that I see from the movie, the book movie, and yeah, I write it down, and that's why I quite often do like little shorts for the website, because even though I might not be working on a book, I see little pieces of the lives of the characters. So yeah, I think that's the easiest way to describe it, is like a movie inside my head. Yeah, it's my process. Yes.
Are there any difficulties in having New Zealand as a home base, considering we're a relatively small country?
Small country. No, actually. You know, when I started, so my first book came out in 2005, I think. The internet wasn't as, you know, everywhere as it is now. It was strong, but not like we have now, where everyone is connected. And even then, you know, it was fine. But then there was time-wise, you know, sometimes you had to take a little bit longer because you were posting things overseas and things like that. But now, with the internet, it's just so much easier. You know, like you can connect to anyone worldwide at any time, basically. And I think in terms of social media, it's been really useful. So no, I don't think it has an effect. I do travel a bit. I go to conferences and conventions and stuff. But I don't think you necessarily have to do that. I always tell people who are asking me if they have to make a choice between doing the promo stuff and writing the book, is to write the book, because the book is the best advertising. Because if someone loves your book, they're going to talk about your book. So I don't think you should feel limited because you're in, you know, you're here. I actually think it's a really cool place to be as a writer, because it's quite peaceful in terms of having, you know, doing your writing and stuff. Yeah. And plus, actually, just out of interest, most of the stuff now is done online through the publishers. So, for example, when you hand in a book, the editor looks at it and she'll come back to you with her comments or whatever, and she might say, something's not as strong, whatever, you know, it's feedback. And then you do the changes and you send it back. And then it comes back copy edited, which is like, you know, they used to do it in paper, and so you'd have to mark your changes in with a different coloured pencil. And now it's strikeout, red line strikeout. So it's all online. And then once you send that back, it comes back typeset, and that's what it looks like on a printed page. So it basically looks like what you'll be reading, and that used to come as like a printout, but now even that has come as a PDF that you mark up. So you know, it doesn't matter where you are, you can do it. I mean, I did once, I had to go for a book tour in the US, and like the day before I left, they sent me typeset pages for something, and I was like, no way. And so I was doing it on a plane. So yeah, it's just literally, it is a job you can do anywhere, which is great. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Yes.
What do you have to do with it after it's typeset? Is it just double checking?
Typeset. Once it's typeset, you can't really do major changes, so you can't add in like paragraphs kind of thing. But you can do typos. Pick up any typos. You pick up if there's been a typesetting error. Sometimes when they typeset it, you might get accidents where 2 lines are repeated on the bottom of the page and then 2 lines are repeated on the top of the page. And so you pick up errors like that. Sometimes it's
not too bad to read on the plane, because it's almost just like rereading.
Yeah, you reread. But it's a very detailed. The thing is, I always print out, and I read it with a ruler or a piece of paper under each line, because my brain fills in all the gaps. Like if there's a word missing, I won't see it because I know it's there, and so it's really, really hard, like, to proofread, because by that stage I've read the book like 100 times. I know it by heart. I could like quote it to you. So what I usually do is I try and get someone else to also proofread it for me at the same time. And I find that's working quite well. My books are relatively error-free, touch wood. But yeah, it can be, it's interesting. I love the copy edit stage because usually when it comes in copy edits, I haven't seen it for several months. And so it's like, reading it afresh and going, this book's not as bad as I thought, and I handed it in. Writers always say that it's time to hand in the book when you just hate it. And so that's really good, but when you get it at the copy edits, the typeset pages stage, it's quite close to the copy edit stage. So you've already read it once before, and then you're reading it again. So it's really hard to pick up those typos. But sometimes you get the most interesting things, like I had in Bonds of Justice, Max, I was reading the typeset pages. And okay, you have to realise that how many people have read the book by the time it gets to the typeset page stage. My editor's read it, the copy editor has read it, the typesetter has read it, the proofreader has read it. That's just 4 out of the top of my head. At least 10 people have read that book at that stage. And so I'm reading the typeset pages and I'm like, Max says someone's murdered. And it's okay, yeah, someone is murdered in that book. Then I read a few pages on and I thought, oh my god, the guy isn't murdered until the next chapter. And nobody had picked up the fact that he knew the murder was going to happen, like, psychically, in advance. And so you occasionally pick up things like that in typeset pages because you're just like, and then you have this freak out and you wonder how many other things have slipped through. But yeah, it's, it can be interesting. All right. More questions? No? Yes.
Your private life must be really interesting. And I've hunted high and low on YouTube to see if you talk about that Raphael in your life.
Yeah.
But I haven't found anything. And it's probably like, real secret and sacred to you, and I appreciate that. But do you find that you write such strong male characters that your significant other can sometimes be a bit blurred and a bit hazy in your life? Do you find that?
They're all imaginary. That's all I'll say. You know what? They're creations of my imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very strong characters, and sometimes people ask me about the alpha male hero, and I say they fit the world they're in. They would not fit our world, and I think that's really important to remember, because I think sometimes people say, you read all these books, or you write those books, and you have unrealistic expectations. I'm sure you've heard that, and it's like, it's fiction, people. And also, if Raphael appeared right now in this world, most of us would probably describe it. So it's not the alpha male for this world. The contemporary world is different from the one that you see